By the way, I'm just looking at the weather forecast for just for here. I know
It's perfect.
it's amazing for like the next week.
I know.
Like, literally every day is amazing.
What is it for game day against the
85?
Giants?
Something like that.
Yeah.
High of 85 on
just-
Sunday?
It was warm yesterday.
I see 83
Okay.
for DC, but yeah, maybe 85 there. Who
I
knows?
was getting used to the mid-70s. Remember last week was like
Sure.
mid-70s?
Yeah.
It was get a little bit size.
Got a little early taste
and then
of
get
fall.
bumps up to, mid-August temps.
Yeah.
A little warm yesterday for me. Little humid.
I thought it was
Mr.
wonderful. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I know you love it.
I do. I love it.
I want to turn my AC off, open up my French doors. That's what I want to do.
By the
See,
way,
that's
you know what I
it's
noticed
about.
this morning since I've been walking lately when I've been playing Valdez? Thighs getting a little like I felt like a rock today.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I think my thighs are
Getting toned.
it's like when I was biking all the time. Yep. Thighs are getting.
Who would have
silly.
thought physical activity helps?
Well, because you're walking and you're carrying your bag. I don't do the pull cart.
Oh, you don't
thing
do the
yet.
push cart?
No,
okay.
I still have. I know I'm wrong because like kids use them. I still have this bias against. them.
No, there is. There's definitely a bias. You just
I
got to get
feel
over it.
You just got to get over it.
Just got to get over it.
I know, but I still have it. So carry my bag, but my thighs. I'm telling you,
All right.
feeling pretty good. You
Let
might
me
want.
see, let me
Well,
see.
hold on. I gotta stand. Let me see.
Yeah, let me do a test here. Yeah, pretty solid.
Huh?
Pretty solid.
Not bad, right?
Yeah. I give your thighs a solid B.
Do you guys? I felt my thighs right before I went in the shower.
You did.
Yeah, I felt my.
Did a self-inspection?
Ooh, that's kind of firm. Kind of nice. All right, Valdez has some audio here. We have a couple clips here. We got one from our favorite quarterback in town, Jayden Daniels.
Yes.
We'll hear Jayden talk about all the runs he's taken and everything. I think Scott Abraham asked him a question, and I think we have a Ron clip. Oh, yeah, Ron.
Fun. That's
he's
great.
still here.
Can't wait to hear
Did
that.
you run into
Solheim.
him?
He
Did
was
you
at
run into him? You mentioned.
I talked about it. You obviously didn't listen to my story.
I listened to part of your story. I didn't remember that part.
I did not see
You didn't
Ron.
see Ron.
No.
Okay.
I was hoping to.
Jayden, this week a lot has been made of your 16 rushing attempts in your first game. The processing there, it's so quick, obviously, during the middle of the game. What are you seeing when you think of, like, okay, I got to tuck it and run? Well, like, what are you looking for to make you want to, I got to use my legs here?
I'll just say based off the situation. Obviously, that's like situational things. You kind of just go from there. I can't really tell. It's like a instinctual thing, feel thing, like, hey, the time is up. Obviously, you don't want to get hit by 300-pound plus people. So, it's kind of just like that's kind of growing up my whole life, man. It's like just an instinct. Like that clock in your head is like, all right, it's time to go.
Yeah, he knows. He has an innate sense of when things are breaking down around him and when he can get out of the pocket and make a play.
Boswell wrote an article, I think, in the Post about how he's going to shatter if he keeps running like this. Which,
Well, yeah, of course.
I
But
don't
he's
think
not.
anybody expects him to run 16 times a week.
No.
Yeah.
Just kind of how it
that
played
is
out.
unsustainable.
Yeah.
But running 8 to 10 times a week, if he
Mm-hmm.
gets out of bounds, protects himself, does his barrel rolls or slides, whatever you want to call it.
He's going to
Right.
have a few
Right.
big runs this week. We know that. You just don't want to see it 15 times.
Right. What I'd like to see him, like the next step is a couple runs on the run, a couple throws on the run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Evade, slide step, and then, rip
Yeah.
one.
That would be nice.
Guys come up and he just dumps it
Yeah.
to Eckler right there.
Right.
In college, did he have a lot of those type of throws? Obviously, he had a ton of
Nice.
scrambles and obviously had a ton of deep balls and every type of pass. But did he have a lot of passes on the run?
I'm not sure.
Not when I saw him.
Everybody said it kind of looked like more of his Arizona State days, where he's just kind of running around.
So once he tucks it, he pretty much goes.
They always say he's a pass first guy, but yeah, maybe that could be a knock against him.
Is this going to be the new thing week to week?
Could be.
Is that we're analyzing the amount of Jayden runs?
I think there's
and-
going to be a good chunk
Well,
of
you know
that.
we're going to
And-
overanalyze it. We know we're going to overanalyze it. That's for sure. You can't deny that 16's too much. You can't have your quarterback lead your team.
It's
going to
be the weekly referendum,
Yeah.
I feel like. At
Now-
least in his rookie season.
As I said yesterday, every time he does it, though, I'm so excited
Well, it
because
helps
I
him
feel like
win.
he can take it to the house.
Warren Sharp had a stat or 3 stats about Jayden Daniels' performance. It was about the expected play average.
Uh-huh.
Well, when they run, it was positive. When he passes, negative. And I can't remember. There was a third category, which was negative.
The passing game was basically non-existent.
Mhm.
Somehow he mustered 180 yards. I'd like to see that be a little bit more prevalent and maybe have a little bit more, be a little more impactful.
I got to think 50 or 60 of those passing yards were on that last drive.
Yeah, it's fine. Still counted. The starters were still in.
Yeah, that's true.
They were still pressuring. And now Valdez, I guess Lurch didn't see him when he was out there. Maybe you'll see him today. But Ron Rivera is a golf nut and was out there for the Solheim Cup. And he was asked about the Commanders and what he saw in week 1.
What are your early thoughts on this team?
Well, first of all, I really like what DQ has done. I really do. I got a lot of respect for Dan. He's done some really good things. I like the players. I really do. I thought they had a nice draft. They did some really good things in free agency, spent some good money, and I thought got some really good guys. I think really right now it's just a matter of them coming together as a team, and I know Coach will continue to push them to do that. I think what the Harris group is doing, kind of rebuilding that facility, hopefully giving the players everything they need. Yeah,
and Jayden Daniels, last question. What have you seen from him? I know a lot of Commanders fans very high on that young man.
And they should be, just because he's a tremendous athlete, great arm, really is. He's got to continue to focus on his decision making and get better at it, and he's going to get better. I really like what they do offensively. They got a tremendous amount of skill sets around him. Really do like Terry, and I really like B-Rob. I think they've got an opportunity to really take this team and do some good things.
Any sort of a message you had for the fan base, Commanders fans? I know they're very hungry.
They are, and they should be, and it'd be great to see them all come back and get behind this team. It really does, because it's really good for the community.
He's such a nice guy.
He's so nice.
It's hard to pile
Such a
on
terrible
him.
coach.
Such a nice guy.
I mean, you just hammer him, though, every time we talk about him.
He's a terrible coach, but he's a nice guy.
I agree.
You can be terrible at your job and still be a nice
I
person.
just think how it's funny how he's talking up all the guys around him.
Right.
Yeah, all the guys. He gutted your roster.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, got rid of all the guys you brought in.
He just says nice things. Back to Jayden Daniels. So I found the Warren Sharp post. Warren Sharp at Sharp Football does a lot of analytics. And number one, he says the most efficient play in football is actually the scramble. And he makes a point of saying if Dan Quinn's defense played the Bills, he would love it if McDermott told Josh Allen not to scramble. But then, based off of Dan Quinn saying maybe we need more designed runs, he points out Jayden Daniels on 7 scrambles is a plus 1.15 EPA per play. That's an 86% success rate, 11 yards per carry. Running backs on 14 runs in the game were negative 0.08 EPA play, 29% success, 3.6 yards per carry. And then his dropbacks, 26 of them, was negative 0.13 EPA per play. So why would you take away the thing that is the most successful part of the game for them?
They may scale it back, but they're not
You don't
taking
take
it
it
away.
But
It's not going away.
Because they want him to play 17 games.
Yeah.
They want him to play They want to play 15 games. That's the only reason. I mean, yeah.
And that's one reason why they drafted him.
I mean, think about it. Even God, why am I forgetting the quarterback from the big quarterback from Carolina? He got so hurt.
Cam Newton.
He got so hurt.
Yeah, and he was a tank. He was like 6'5",
a big dude.
240.
Couldn't be any bigger and then more of a physical
Right, he was probably 30
specimen
pounds heavier.
than him. All right, so we talked about it yesterday. The spread on the game is 1.5. I see the total is 44. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, Jason.
I see 43,
43,
depending on where you're looking.
44. I'm looking at like the predictions. So on USA Today, a bunch of their guys. Looks like everybody in the USA Today is picking the Commanders.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
Lorenzo Reyes, Tyler Dragon, Richard Morin, Jordan Minda, all picking the Commanders. Then I would say, okay, well, let me go check what are they doing over at CBS Sportsline, right? We love our guy Will Brinson, Pete Prisco, Ryan Wilson. Pete Prisco, who's been very high on the Skins, he's picking the Giants.
He's been especially high on Jayden Daniels, too.
Yes. What's he doing? Will
I don't
Brinson,
know.
Hedging.
he's picking the Giants.
Oh, he is.
Everybody else is picking the Skins.
Interesting.
So 4 out of 6 at CBS Sports are picking Washington. Now, they're picking it with the spread, but do you think they're picking it because they're getting plus 1.5?
I mean,
And they
it's
think
not
it's going to
a
be
lot
like
of
a
points.
1-point game?
Yeah.
That doesn't
No.
make sense. I think they think the
They're
Giants are
picking
going to
them
win.
outright.
I mean, if the Giants are getting like plus 3.5,
That's
that extra
different.
hook, like, yeah, you might want to put your money there, but the plus 1.5 just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Right.
Look, if you look at all the power polls after week 1, the Giants and the Commanders are roughly in the same spot. There's not a lot of respect for the Commanders this year. Even before the season, they were ranked 27th, 28th, 29th in the league. And then you got to watch the defense in week 1, and you have the history of Daniel Jones thriving against this defense, that I could see why people are going with the Giants. I just saw a stat, though, on Daniel Jones. So it was also on Warren Sharp's analysis. He had the yards of separation of receivers for 7 or 8 quarterbacks.
Right.
And they were all roughly in like the 4 to 5 yard range. And most of the completion percentages in those situations were in the 70% range, 75%, maybe even 80% when the receiver had 4.5 yards of separation. Well, Daniel Jones's receivers had about the same separation as the list of quarterbacks there, and he was completing at 52%.
No, not
with
great.
Big separation.
Not fantastic.
I'm looking at, and it's only
Now he's getting pressured probably more than the other quarterbacks.
Right.
I think he took 12 quarterback hits.
I'm looking at the stats, and that's only 1 week. But when you compare the team stats for Washington versus New York, obviously some of our worst stats, third down defense, we were dreadful there. Do you know what they were converting at? What percentage?
The Bucks?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 9 of 12 or
It
9
was
of 13?
69%.
Yeah, it was very high.
Okay. The other stat where we're not, all of the defensive stats are not great. Scoring defense, well, you could expect that. I mean, 31st. I guess
Right.
somebody who gave up more. Who gave up more than 37 points per game?
The Saints game,
Panthers.
Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Carolina.
Panthers.
They go up
They got
47.
obliterated.
And then, let me see. Passing defense gave up 280 yards. And then when you look at the Giants, that really, I guess the big one where they might be vulnerable, maybe this is sacks allowed. Daniel Jones was sacked 5 times.
Yeah, like I said, he was hit 12 times.
Right.
He specialized. The defense only gave up 21 because they gave Minnesota 7 on a pick 6.
To me, the most alarming stat
They also
I've seen
couldn't
on the
run the ball.
Giants.
They
This
couldn't
is
run
from Hayden Winks from Underdog at Hayden Winks on Twitter. Plays that went to Malik Neighbors. JP brought up the EPA stat. Plays that went to Neighbors in the opener, plus 4.1 EPA. All other Giants plays in that game, minus 20.7 EPA. So you think
Now
that
that's cumulative.
right? You
to
think
get to the minus
you think
20.
Dable isn't going to major in getting Neighbors the ball against this secondary? Like
He's going to try.
he's gonna attempt.
Well, that's
to.
got to be the one guy that we do double, right? That's
You-
got to
you
be the
would
one
think.
guy that we do
You
double.
would think that
They
would be
didn't
a
double Mike
priority.
Evans all the time.
But, well, they had maybe more threats.
Robinson will get a bunch of targets because you would
Right?
assume they're going to
That's true.
double.
Yeah. He'll get a lot
Neighbors.
of the short area stuff.
And that's why he had 12 targets in week 1.
right.
He didn't really murder you, though. He had,
No, he's going to be a short yardage. He's not a super explosive like deep threat, but he can catch the short stuff, and that's what Daniel Jones, if there's pressure on him,
What
is
is
going to do.
What does missing Saquon do specifically to Daniel Jones's run threat? How does that impact that? Not
Well,
having Saquon anymore.
I feel like he should
Because he's a-
lean into the run more if Saquon's not there, but he didn't do much against the Vikings in week 1. I think he had 6 carries for 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't really.
They couldn't run the ball. Singletary did nothing.
Because
Jones
I think
did nothing.
that's ultimately where Jones beats you is with his legs.
Yeah.
And we're the only team he beats,
right.
but that's
Hopefully that
been my
stat
recollection.
changes this weekend.
Right.
Commanders put a W in the column.
Do you
Would be
guys
nice.
know
The only
this-
thing that kind of worries me about this game is the Giants' defense. I would assume they're going to play much better than they
Right.
did this past week. And they've got a couple guys that can get after the QB.
Here-
Now Daniels can get away and scoot away, but they didn't get to Darnold last week.
I do have an obscure stat for Skins fans. Even though we're 40-50-2 all time at home against, we have a losing record at home against the Giants. Very
Right.
annoying, including a 2-game losing streak to the Giants at home. We are cakes 5-2 lifetime against the Giants in week 2.
I do like that little small sample size.
How about that?
I'm big on that.